Welcome to Modcast number 21. I'm Gordo. That's Gary and Capelle. Hey boys, how we doing?
Good.
Good, yeah. Good morning here.
Mike, are you sure you're good?
I am good. I am really good.
All right. 3 years at Modern. Man, I got to tell you, like that, snap of the fingers.
Like that.
36 months just ripped off the calendar. Wow, what a ride, though. It's been pretty amazing. We're going to get into all things Modern, like expectations versus reality, our personal evolution, the culture, looking forward, kind of our biggest surprise, our, just kind of everything Modern. Can you believe that a little over 3 years ago, the three of us were, I remember Gary was in his a room off the garage. Mike was at home working out of a bedroom. I was in a basement in my home, and we'd spend just days on Zoom meetings, just day after day. And what are we going to name this thing? And what's the logo going to look like? And how do we go out and raise some capital? And how do we get our first deal done? And now look, man, it's just been crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, for anyone who's ever been part of a startup at the very beginning, you're literally dealing with everything. You're on with lawyers all the time about, formation documents and in our case, acquisition documents, but you're also like, how do I get some pens and some paper? There's just like with our logo on it, and it's like you do absolutely everything. But and then you reach the point where it's like, well, we just have things. Some mugs showed up last week that look really nice that have our logo on it.
So,
mine showed up broken, by the way.
Some lines showed up broken too, but it was the thought that counted.
Yeah,
I mean that is an amazing difference between then and now. Is like we had to do all that stuff right at the beginning. We're doing everything, finding this office space, like everything, and now it's like we're out for a week and the company runs.
It keeps going.
Yeah, decisions get made.
Impressive.
People do things. So let's give some quick stats. Right after 36 months, we've acquired 20 offices, right? So we've acquired 20 offices. We have something like 275 employees today, a little bit better than $12 billion of AUM. And we have, a lot going on. We're driving these organic growth hubs, and we have an inorganic strategy with our mergers and acquisitions team that has been out just kicking butt recently, with multiple deals under LOI and one signing today, actually, their purchase agreement. So, as this episode airs, we'll, again, 20 offices, a little better than $12 billion of assets, and about 275 people. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think one thing we've certainly had reflected back to us from other people in the industry and people who sort of observe this space is that's a pace of growth that is highly unusual. And I know we've talked in prior episodes about some of the reasons why, but I think we can touch on some of those today. And some of it was, planned, and sometimes you get a little lucky, and sometimes you just, things just work. And so it's been really interesting. I always like to, knock on wood. I don't know if that made it on the episode. It's a very important strategic component to doing well in anything is making sure that you knock on wood periodically. So I just want to add for anyone out there.
Yeah. One thing too, when you're starting up a company, I think one of the things you try and be careful about is not letting the spreadsheet get away from you. You're thinking about your business plan, you're trying to forecast what's going to happen the next few years, and you try and be realistic, right? But at the same time, spreadsheets are really easy to just kind of go exponential on stuff, right? And I think we balanced it pretty well, but we had a pretty aggressive forecast for what we thought we could do, and I mean, it's been, I mean, honestly, just very surprising. I think if you look at other startups, how well they've kind of tracked to their original plan, it's just logical that there'd be so many deviations from that. But I think overall, we've kind of been on pace for and beyond for what we put out there, and that's been pretty interesting how that's played out.
Yeah, we're running ahead. Like, there's always the plan, and then there's reality. And I think our expectations were really high coming into the business, and we had a very aggressive business plan. And we've been quoted as saying we our 5-year objective when we launched 3 years ago was to get to 28 billion by the end of 2028. So we're we have what, 2.5 years to get to go from 12 to 28. And with the announcements we'll make over the next couple of quarters, you'll see that we're definitely running ahead of pace. And, Mike, I think you pointed out, like, it was aggressive. We're running ahead of pace, and we're surprised at the same time, right?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, things are playing out, pretty well. Everything's not perfect. We can talk about that too, but I think things are working out pretty well to the plan that we had, and the opportunity that we saw, and what we felt we could do.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we should talk about is our people, right? I think we spend a lot of time in our team, and I'm thinking the three of us and Jason Del Cole, and then that management layer and all the awesome work that they do, and the trust that we put in them and how well they've executed. And one thing, we spend a lot of time talking about is the co-investment by employees. So, Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about employee co-investment and what you think that's done for the business? Then Gary, you tag on, but
Sure.
It's incredible to me.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a great way to just drive ownership of the company. I think it's so much more meaningful than handing kind of free equity that has to be earned with certain hurdles and so on. Having people that are excited about the business plan and see the opportunity and want to put their own money, their own retirement savings, whatever it might be, into the company, it's just amazing because they approach problems that come up in a different way. Like, they approach it from an ownership mindset. They approach it from, like, let's figure out the best solution for the company around this. To me, it just drives incredible alignment and results for the company.
Yeah, Gary, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's there's sort of I always think about it as sort of the us and them kind of crossing the bridge, and when people just feel like employees, there's sort of this, what are they going to do? This amorphous blob that people think of as being company or corporate or management. But when you have an ownership mindset, there's no them. It's just us. What are we going to do? Yes, different people have different roles and different levels of authority, because different things need to get done. But the more people you have in a company who think about that as any problem solving, it's a we situation, not just let those guys deal with the situation. I think that's how you get high quality results, because speed and quality don't always go together. And so if you can combine high growth with high quality, then you can be the best in the business. I'm not saying that we are, but I think we can be, and I see it, and I think that at moments we are, and I think that that's the mindset amongst many, many people. It's not 3 or 4 people. It's dozens and dozens of people here that are taking ownership of things appropriately, surfacing problems, creating solutions, creating opportunities. That's how you get to be much bigger. And there's a tendency, I'm going off-piste as investors on the East Coast like to say, who clearly go skiing in France, which I've never done, because I think that's what that means, is like you're going off of the trail, the groomed trail. But there's a tendency in I think in businesses and culture writ large to try and personalize something. Like you talk about Elon or Bezos, or and those are big characters, billionaire CEOs. But in this industry, there's always been like people refer to companies in shorthand by the name of the CEO if it's a big sort of publicly, not publicly traded, but sort of public focused CEO. And I think maybe one of the good things about us having, at the beginning, the three of us, our initial offices called us the Three Amigos, which was really funny. And we have a fourth member of our executive office who you referenced before, Jason Dolcole, who can't make it today. But maybe the fact that it's not just one person allows everyone else to also assume their roles, instead of just being like, oh, what's Mike going to do? Or what's Gary going to do? Or what's Gordo going to do? Because it's not just one name. It might be confusing to some people externally because they love to refer to one name. But I think it's really one of the keys behind many aspects of our ability to scale this business.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that we have over 100 employees that are equity owners, and many of them invested a lot of money, right? Anywhere from $50,000 to $500,000 as a personal capital to co-invest alongside us and our private equity firm. And a lot of people will talk about, private equity bad, and I think it's been absolutely amazing for our employees to get to participate right alongside them and co-invest. And without a private equity backer, I don't know that that's possible in a business like this today. But, anyway, it's been pretty amazing, and I don't know anything about skiing, so thanks for the explanation of what you were saying there.
Don't go off piste.
Yeah, ask me about golf. I can chat, but skiing. No, Mike's all about the skiing stuff. All right, Mike, what was a or wow moment as we're launching this business, as we're getting started? What, were there any, like, I'm just going to say, oh shit moments?
I mean, my head goes to the positives on that, the oh wows.
Yes,
I just think, yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that I think we were trying to figure out was, okay, we're launching the company. And, it was the three of us, right? And so we're doing the first acquisition, which is our platform acquisition. And it's not really them joining us, it's us joining them, right? And I think, it was interesting to see the opportunity for some of the folks that were part of that initial acquisition to become part of our enterprise team over time. Our head of marketing, Paul, he's, been doing a fantastic job. Really, he raised his hand, wanted to help build the national firm, and he's been doing a great job just helping us grow and taking on marketing across the country. To me, that was, I didn't know how that would play out, and it's been really interesting and just great to see people, and they don't have to change, right? They can continue to do what they're doing, but if they're really interested in a little bit different position at a level working across the entire enterprise, it's been great to see how those have played out.
Yeah, there's a number of examples of that. Yeah. Logan DeGrave was an advisor, CFP, young guy, really successful hand raiser, as you said, who said, I think I can help coach and mentor and guide advisors and really help us grow. And, I think of Chad Webb, and there's just a bunch of names in that, Maria Brown, that in that first acquisition, that have had great career path and career trajectory kick in. And they're not it's not exclusive to that first transaction. We've had, our Campbell office, some people take promotions. We've had our Rochester office. We have promotions all around the country where they've, again, raised their hand and said, I think I can do more, and I want to do more, and I want to lean in, and I want to make this the best place possible. Gary, how about you? Any wow moments or any of that?
I think, there's almost too many to to count. I think the biggest wow moment for me maybe was when we had not our first but our second meeting with our managing directors, all of our lead advisors in our offices, and we just had our third about a little over a month ago. But the second one, it was like, okay, this isn't just this little small like group of pioneers now. Like this is a bigger room, and we've got a lot more people, and it's starting to remind me of the past a little bit of like, building a bigger company, and it's maybe it was like hitting that first peak.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing for me, there was a wow moment this year when all three of us and Del Cole, so the four of us, we were all in Arizona together, and we had the Modern Women leadership team there, and we had the next generation leader or next gen leadership program there. And to be in that room with all of the energy and excitement and, just kind of how they wanted to lead and what they wanted to do and how they wanted their careers to unfold and the great work that they're already doing in offices to lead. And to sit in that room and go, wow, this is like year 2 at that point. We had quite made it 3. And there's so much energy and so much youth and so much excitement. Derek Bruden actually said something to me a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, for the first time in my career, I'm the old guy in the business. And he goes, it's really cool because, you see all this energy and excitement and you become a mentor and a guide, but everybody has so many great questions and so much great energy and so much excitement around what we're doing. That's, to me, one of those like, wow, this is a real company. I think I said that to you too. Like, guys, we have a real company now. And it's just awesome to see so many new faces that are joining. And, we hired like 149 people last year.
Yeah, that part doesn't even really sink in. It's like that seems hard to believe, but it's true.
Yeah.
Well, I assume it's true because you said it.
Well, I got that from Sadie, and she reports to you, and
I'm sure it's accurate. I'm sure it's
perfectly accurate.
I think all this kind of relates to, though, the culture that we've built, right, at the company. And I think when you think about kind of the participation of folks that have joined us through acquisition and kind of the relationship that we have, I think some firms are built differently in this space, where they're more us and them, and we're just a platform provider, and they have that they're very separated. And I think our culture has been much more, we're one firm, and we're all striving for building a great firm, and very, I was going to say very open, but actually excited about finding talent in the firms we acquire and other people that join, and the bigger role they can play and the bigger impact they can have, on the company.
Yeah. Hire number 1, he, this guy had been with us in a prior company, Steven Tuckwood, AKA Tuck. That's what he goes by. I go by Gordo. He goes by Tuck. One of, and again, employee number 1. Actually, the employee co-invest was his great idea. It's been fantastic. And I remember in that first trio of acquisitions we were doing, we'd been in diligence meetings all day at Kansas City, and he and I were flying to Detroit. And our flight got delayed, and we got stuck in the old Kansas City airport for more hours than we wish to admit. And we finally land in Detroit. We have an 8 a.m. meeting the next morning, and we land in Detroit. It's like 2:00 in the morning, and we're walking through the airport, and I look at him and I go, hey, this is what you're signing up for, bud. And nobody will realize that this is the work that you're going to be doing for the next decade, and that it's these late flights or early mornings. It's the real rock pushing effort early that sets us up for long-term success. And he looked at me and he was like, yeah, I'm excited. And I was like, this is awesome. We're just getting started. And it's that culture that I'm really excited to do the hard work culture that I love here, right? Everybody wants to push on that boulder together, right? Nobody's just watching other people push. Everybody's here with active hands pushing, and culture is so important. And how you get people together and how you hear their ideas and idea share with them, and you I'm not going to say argue or debate, but you contemplate different decisions and different paths that we could go down. Let's talk about lean more into culture. Mike, you started going there, but like, how do we have active hands around preserving the culture that already exists here? How do we do that as we double and triple the head count? Gary, what do you think?
People seeing that good work and hard work gets recognized and rewarded is really important. It's really important, and this is just broadly speaking, I think, from from a kind of a management philosophy standpoint, that you don't take credit for the good work that somebody else does. Credit is given where it is earned, and people see that it's a meritocracy, and good work is rewarded. People get promoted if they're good. It's also important to, on hopefully those very rare occasions where things are going the other way, where kind of I always like to quote great philosophers. So the great philosopher Shaquille O'Neal, I believe, once said, "Real knows real." And so when people are working side by side, and in today's world, that's not literally side by side, but virtually side by side. But when you're on a team with people know who's like pulling their weight and people know who's not, right? So you've got to be willing to make sometimes those tough decisions when there are team members who aren't pulling their weight, either try and get the performance to improve, or make changes. And so that people know that it's that effort is going to be rewarded, it's going to be recognized, and that the people who are around them, who have different responsibilities, are thinking and working in a similar way. And that's, I think, how you get a team that can become very cohesive and just get a lot of hard stuff done. I'm trying not to have us be a explicit podcast, Gordo. Hard stuff done. And then you end up with a positive culture, not a blame-oriented culture or an ego-oriented culture. And and then you just hopefully let that trickle down and become the prevailing way of doing things.
We can bleep out my explicit. Okay, don't worry.
I think one is allowed.
All right. So looking forward, like, okay, we were pretty out there, 28 billion by the end of 28. We were all told we were crazy. There were articles written that we only raised $200 million. That might buy us $4 or $5 billion of assets, and that was it.
That's pretty funny.
What's that?
That was pretty funny. That was a pretty funny one.
Yeah, I loved it. Right. I also love the article that gets written that's projecting what we might be doing, and they were awfully wrong. And yes, we were in New York, but we weren't in New York to do the thing that they got written about. But they thought we were.
That was funny.
We all had a big crack up laugh about it when we landed in Rochester, not New York City. But looking forward, what excites you? What, Mike? You go first. You're we're all, Gary and I get to do this thing called the Modcast all the time. You're I guess, but like, what say you? What are you thinking about about the next 5 years?
There's just so much opportunity in this country that we haven't tapped into. I'm just excited about the continued kind of expansion and getting into different regions of the country that we're not currently in. Being as usual, pleasantly surprised by the talent that comes on board as part of that journey. I think there's, obviously I spend a lot of time on the tech side. And so I'm also excited about this whole AI revolution going on, right? And what that's going to bring to the firm. We're having fun exploring that and putting things in place, but we're in early innings on that front. So I'm excited about the growth and, just continuing to march towards that 28 and 28 number and beyond.
Right. Gary, how about you? What is your look forward excitement?
It's the same as day one. I mean, that's the funny thing is it's, working with the people we have, meeting new people who could become part of what we're doing and help us build, and solving problems, creating solutions, doing interesting things, traveling around the country to our offices, trying new regional foods. I had never had burnt ends before we started Modern Wealth Management, and which is a pretty major point of pride in Kansas City, where we had our launch, one of our 3 launch offices, but our main hub, and still a main hub for us, and learning about, the importance of, Jack Stack versus Q39 and a few of those others. I hope I got that one right. No, there was no paid, no concession given for.
Well, hate
for
mail's coming your way from the other phenomenal barbecue joints.
No, but actually, I like getting around to different parts of the country, meeting different people, and hearing their perspectives, and it like broadens my own world and my own mind, and I think that's an important thing, and not just being like, one of the things about being a company that does make acquisitions and is, expanding geographically, is you do get around to all different regions and places, and that's, to me, that's fun and that's exciting.
Yeah, it like you, I think we just remain head down focused on just building, executing, delivering on the plan that we set out, evolving that plan every year in our fall planning session, updating at mid-year like we do with the management team around us, and really just exploring, learning, evolving, being completely open-minded, not being certain that we're the only right voice in the room. We actually are often the wrong voice. We get so much from the team around us, and the direction that they think we should go, and how we should get there, and what we should do, and what our action steps are around those things. The team is amazing, and I think it's our job just to continue to bring amazing talent to the firm, and let that talent explore, adapt, problem solve, iterate, like all the things that they want to do, right? And really give them a whiteboard and say, you design it, you go execute it. Well, we're here to help you think through, but it's our biggest job to be your biggest cheerleader and your support, and to invest in the idea. Right.
And sometimes push
That's
back.
what excites me.
And also, okay, let's, make people, give people the opportunity to sort of, have their ideas even, challenged and beaten up and improved on, in a constructive way. But then ultimately see them get applied and adopted. And there's tons of things we've done over the last 3 years that were, not ideas that came from the quote unquote executive office.
Right.
I also think, one of the things that excites me is, I think that this marketplace, the RIA market, is going to change a lot over the next 5 to 7 years. And there's lots of people who are part of this industry who don't really want or need to participate necessarily in that evolution. They're just, they're great doing what they do. But there's some firms that are really driving a lot of change and a lot of scale, and might become really enduring brands that exist long beyond when their founders are there. And I think we're seeing some of them being built today, that already exist. And I think the opportunity, for a firm like ours is hopefully to be one of those. And you can't do that in a day. I was in Rome last month, and I also am aware that Rome was not built in a day. That wasn't, by the way, a phrase that the Romans we talked to were familiar with, which was kind of interesting. Seems like it's an American phrase, but the every day sort of builds on that beginning and everything we've done since then. And I think it is very exciting to just be working on something that can be really good. And I think our advisors out there and the teams that work with the advisors and support our advisors, I think they do a great job for our clients. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. And we want to give them the resources they need to do that great job. So that shouldn't go unsaid either.
Yeah, they want all of our acquisitions, all the firms that came to us, and the advisors in those firms, and the support teams, that relationship managers, and the client service associates, and the operations people. They all came because they wanted to join something, right? They wanted to improve what they were doing in their office. They wanted some new something that was either going to create efficiency if you're in the ops department, growth if you're in the advisor department, a new thing to provide exceptional client care with if you're in a relationship management team. Right? You join for a reason, and we have to continue to evolve the firm and the business and be on the front end of the industry and continue to invent and develop new ways of taking exceptional care of the clients. Because at the end of the day, that's all this business is about: exceptional care for the client. That's it. Full stop.
I think we'd be remiss without talking a little bit about the future for our clients and what we're doing for them.
Sure.
And we've been on this mission really to meet them and meet their ever-growing needs within the financial space. And another thing that I'm excited about with the future of the firm is there's a lot we're already doing for our clients, but I think there's so much more we can be doing. And I think that's really the future of the RIA space. The leading edge of this independent industry is around continuing to expand offerings and help your clients in more meaningful ways.
I think that it's, looking back, it's been an incredible 3 years, but I think from this moment on, we're not really looking back. We're only looking forward. And I do think it's important to pause and commemorate and celebrate and recognize where you've been. But, we are modern wealth management, which means we're always leaning into the future. And there's no in-season celebrations. And so it's been a great launch, and it's full speed ahead.
Yeah, somebody asked me over the weekend, actually, how far in the journey are you guys? When I was like, we're still warming up. Like the first whistle hasn't been blown yet. Like we're just getting going.
I would also add, because I just, if you're listening and you wonder, like, well, what's the point of just getting bigger? Like, what's the point of growth? Like, growth. You hear the word all the time. I think, and this is going to be true for any company or a person. If you think that what you're doing or the impact you can have is positive and has value, then you want that to expand, and you want as many people as you can to be a part of that as team members, as clients. And so I think that maybe is the honest answer, or the most deep answer, if you will, of like what gets me excited or gets me up in the morning, because I believe that. And I believe that, and that's not to exclude, there's lots of great advisory firms out there. It's not a zero-sum game.
That's right.
In this industry. A lot of people can have that feeling and be right, and sort of the right to win, sort of thing. And continue to grow and expand. But I think that is the thing that maybe is the most important. This is not about just getting bigger for the sake of getting bigger. It's, hey, we think we've got a good thing going, and we'd love for more people to be part of it.
Yeah, improving lives.
Great.
Yep.
Improving lives.
That's clients, that's advisors, that's the rest of the organization. We're here to improve lives. So, all right. Well, I always mess this up. So if you want to connect, it's modcast.show. You can connect with us there. We'd love it if you liked, shared, promoted the Modcast. So go to all your favorite listening channels and do that, including YouTube. YouTube is great, and we found that many people watch us there, as well as listen to us on Spotify and all the other platforms. So please do that. Go like, love, share, and promote the podcast. Till next time, I'm Gordo. That's Gary. And that's Mike. Check you later.